So it's almost 4 o'clock here in California, Northern California. My experience, yeah, that's what it's out. Countdown. So who's all here? Well, anyways, it doesn't matter. What matters is what I have to say about this fire that happened on Monday, ended on, wait, it was Friday? Or was it Saturday? I can't remember which day. Oh, it was Sunday. Sunday. Today is Thursday. But it happened on Sunday. And it lasted for 3 days. Finally was able to come back Monday. And then I rested on Tuesday because I was tired from all the stress. Then Wednesday was okay. And today's Thursday. But anyways, I found out some information about the person who did the fire. He was on tape. They caught him on tape doing it, and they let him out at first, obviously, because they said they didn't have enough evidence against him, so they couldn't hold him in jail. So they let him out, and then the day they let him out, which was the next day, another fire happened, 5 other spot fires, right? So, anyways, somebody turned into the police a tape that they had driving down the highway of him lighting the fire. And it had his face and everything, and he was wearing a straw hat, which is really weird, I guess, because he's a young guy, so I don't know why he's wearing a straw hat. I wonder why all these people are watching all of a sudden. Anyways, he was wearing a straw hat, and everyone got him on tape. It's all over. Thank you for coming in, Hannah. I didn't know you were a follower, but thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Um, anyways, it was kind of messed up because poor people like me, we had to leave our apartments, and a lot of people didn't have anywhere to stay, so we all had to go to. A lot of people went to shelters, but we went to a hotel, which was kind of expensive. I'm good, thank you, Hannah. Nice name too. I like it. It's cute. Anyways, we had to stay in a hotel. We didn't have to stay in a hotel, but I didn't want to stay in the shelter because I've been in many shelters, and shelters aren't fun. Um, so, anyways, we stayed in a hotel, and it cost like 150 a day, which is expensive for us. But there was nowhere else to go, and it's hot as hell. It's summer. So, and we had our cat, so we had to put somewhere to be with our cat. Because our cat, we didn't want him to get overheated. It's too hot for him. So we ended up in a hotel, and all the hotels were booked. Thank God there was like one hotel that was available that wasn't completely booked solid. It's tourist season right now, so we got lucky when we got in. So, anyways, whatever. It was miserable, and then trying to find all the updates and everything, and nobody had posted anything yet about who did it. No one knew much yet. They just know it erupted. The fire erupted. It was a pretty big fire, which meant that whoever did it spread it. They spread the flames throughout the hill there, because I live in the hills. So somebody had probably lit it all the way across. So I already knew it was probably a homeless person or a unhoused person. I assumed it because it's been happening every year. It's just never been this bad. This is the worst it's been in a long time. Anyways, the same areas keep burning. They keep burning the same areas, which is about a couple blocks away from my house, right? Basically, a couple blocks, city blocks, where they keep burning. So we always get evacuated right away, which sucks because we're poor, and it sucks because it's so hot and everything. Then being crammed in a, a shelter or whatever with a bunch of other people, it's overly hot. Sucks. Bad. It keeps happening every year, and it's really annoying. I dread summer because they keep doing it. So I don't know why they keep doing this. Because I was homeless for like 3 months or whatever. I never thought about doing anything like that. Not once. Did I ever think about that? Doing something horrible like that. So anyways, they found out who did it, or speculate who did it, because people described the guy. So they questioned all the people at the camp, and I guess somebody narked on the guy. And they were able to locate him. He's unhoused or whatever, and he's a local guy. It's like, why'd you do this? He's a guy like he's like 30, 31 years old, so he's young, but he grew up in this community. It sounds like lived his whole life in this community, the one who did it. And anyways, so I'm gonna put a highlight, I guess. So anyways, they arrested him because other people in the camp, I guess, narked on him. For whatever their reasons are, they narked on him, which was probably the right thing to do because he could have burned down the whole city and hurt people probably, which isn't cool. You know, you don't want to like harm old people and stuff, people that aren't able to run away from a fire. That's messed up. So, anyways, they let him go the first day, and then 5 other fires were set in the town around shopping centers, along the highways and stuff. Other fires, and they don't know for sure if he set those while he was released, but they arrested him like right after that, right after those other spot fires were lit. And they know they're deliberate because those areas don't have trees, they're just grass. So somebody lit those. And anyways, he was trying to get bail, I guess his lawyer, attorney, whatever, was trying to get bail set for him. And at first the judge was going to give him bail, but then the judge looked at the tape that somebody had of him on video running away from the fire next to the highway, which was a really big fire. So the judge decided to not give him bail because the judge was afraid, probably, I'm speculating, that he would light more fires while he was released and waiting for his court date. So he decided to not let him have bail, which was smart because it's still summertime and it's still very dry outside right now. So if he did that again, it might not be as easy to put it out. Depends on where he would light the fire, I think. How brushy and wooded it would be is how bad it would burn. So the judge did the right thing by not letting him out right away because those other spot fires were lit right after the judge let him out. And the judge let him out because he said there wasn't enough evidence to link to the fires. And that's when those other spot fires were lit, like the next day when they let him go. Then they rearrested him once they saw the tapes. So it's crazy. Jimmy TS, you said Jesus died for you so that you can be saved through him. He's still alive and loves you so much and wants you to go with him. Yeah, I know about Jesus. But I'm talking about the fire. I know if you live in California, you know all about the Palisades and all that burned. And that was done by ARSONS. More than one, obviously. This guy, obviously, they think he might have been involved with those other spot fires, so they held him without bail. It's very devastating to the residents here. They had to evacuate a couple of nursing homes because they didn't know if it was going to spread to the other trees and stuff in the area. Because we have low humidity here, and we're not humid here, so it'll burn real easy. So the judge did the right thing by holding the guy, and it's not because we're trying to be discriminatory against homeless people. That's not what it's about. It's him in particular. He seems like he's a risk that he could do that again as a retaliatory action, and he doesn't care apparently about law, so that's why he did it to begin with. And he knows there's a jail sentence connected to arson, and apparently he doesn't care about that fact. So that's why he did it. He doesn't really care, or he doesn't know. I don't know what. But anyways, they got him on camera. Some guy walking away from the fire in a straw hat, and people that filmed it were people that were just going somewhere and happened to pull. Everyone has their phone nowadays, and videotaped it because they saw the flames as they were going down the highway, and they videotaped it as they were going down the highway. And this guy with the straw hat was on foot walking away from the flames, and it was just lit. It was like freshly lit, and there was no one else on walking on foot over there except him. And it's obvious he must have done it. He was the only one walking around over there near where that fire was on foot right when it was lit. And it was only like 5 acres at that point when he first lit it. I think what he did was he hiked up the hill a little bit and he lit the fires as he was going down the hill, and then made his way back down to the highway and was walking away from the flames that he had started. and then trying to play stupid. And when he went to court, I guess, or when he made his statement in the police station, was he lied and said that he dropped a cigarette, I guess, a lit cigarette on accident on the ground, and it must have lit up the brush, which I'm not believing, because if he had accidentally dropped his cigarette down in the brush, it probably would have smoldered, but it wouldn't have really spread, because it's that tannin that's in the oak chaparral, and it doesn't burn that hot, so it probably would have just smoldered. It wouldn't have spread like it did. What he did was he took a lighter and he spread it all out, all over the dry brush, and what he did was he scooped up a bunch of leaves and made piles of the dry leaves, because there's a lot of dead leaves around too, not just dry brush, and it made it more flammable. He probably made it to where it would take off. So I'm not buying his story one bit, and apparently the judge didn't buy it either, and didn't give him bail. He can't bail himself out, because he's a risk that he could relight more fires in our community. That's probably what the judge is thinking. He doesn't want that on him, that responsibility, because if he relit more fires up here in this area, then the judge would have that guilt that he should have not let him out. And they shouldn't, not till they're done with their investigation about this fire. They're not even done investigating it yet, these fires. And the big one near my house is not even fully out yet. So they're not fully done investigating. We had one that was a Washington fire in the same area, basically the same area, a couple years ago. And the weird thing with that one was, that one was probably set on fire on purpose too. And they said there was a house that burned down, I guess, in the process of that fire. And there was a person, I guess, that was found on a property inside of a property with burned down house and burned down forest. And there's something weird about it, because they said when they did an autopsy on the person's body, they said there wasn't any smoke in his lungs, or the person's lungs, which means they were dead before the fire came through there. So somebody had unalived them prior to the fire coming through there and burning the house down and the trees and the property. So that's never been solved either. So there's something really weird going on with this stuff, with these fires, that these arsonists, they're not really taking action against these arsonists and punishing them. They're allowed to keep burning our forests down and our houses and stuff. And it's a soft on crime stuff, and closing all the prisons and all that. That's probably why he did it, because he knows he's not going to get in trouble. And he went to court, or he made a statement, and said he just dropped a cigarette. It's like, dropping a cigarette wouldn't have done that much of a fire. It would have smoldered a little bit, because there's oak chaparral and it doesn't burn that hot. It has to accelerate, and I'm believing that you put an accelerant on that, and that's what caused the fire to get bigger. That's what I believe, that he put some kind of an accelerant on it to make it burn hotter, because otherwise it would just smolder and probably go out, because oak chaparral has tannin in it, and tannin is not flammable. It's actually a retardant. It's not pitch. It's not pine. If it was pine, or if it was koyas or whatever, it would light up really easily. So that guy, he put some kind of accelerant, and when they're done investigating and they find out that there's an accelerant used, because they'll test it to see if there was any chemicals that was used possibly to magnify that fire, he's going to be proven that he's not telling the truth. And he probably bought some stuff from a hardware store or whatever, some kind of oil or something to probably make it burn hotter, because this stuff here does not burn hot like oak. When you try to put oak in a fireplace, it doesn't catch on fire right away. You have to put accelerant around it to get it to burn. And especially if it's wet wood, green, especially won't burn. It'll just smolder. It'll just smoke a little bit, but it won't catch fire. If you've ever tried to burn oak in a fireplace that's not seasoned and whatever, it won't burn right away. It'll take forever, and it might just go out, make the fire go out, because it's got all that tannin in it, especially if it's green. It's not very flammable. So Whatever he tried to burn, it was green. It was green tannin. It was live bushes and all that are full of tannin. So he put some kind of accelerant on there to make it burn, to actually make it actually catch on fire. That's what he did. So he's full of crap. He's a liar. And if they don't punish this guy for what he did, um, it's going to continue. They're going to do more of this. They're going to burn more of this state down. Because if they don't punish these guys for this stuff, um, they're going to keep doing arson. And I guess if you don't mind that and you think you should let them get away with it and the rest of them, then prepare to have your house burned down by arsonists. And then you're not going to have any justice because we've been given the green light that it's okay to tell our justice system to not punish these people for what they've done. I don't want my house burned down. You know, if you're poor, it hurts even more to have your house burned down. Or if you live in an apartment and have your whole apartment complex burned down, chances are most people don't have more than $500 worth of money saved for an emergency. So where are you going to go when your house burns down? And thousands of people all can't go knocking on the door of churches in the area because they can't help every last person that's been a victim of fire. And these were set deliberately, these spot fires all over our community here where I live in Tuolumne County. I'm not going to say what city, but it's in California. These were set deliberately, and they're trying to link it to this one guy, but I think he has help. I don't think it's just him. He couldn't be in that many places at once. He doesn't even have a car unless somebody drove him to these locations so he could light fires in those different spots. Yeah. I mean, it's only been a couple of days since we've been back, and I kind of feel weary. Like, what if they do this again in the next couple of days? What if they light more fires? And the sheriff will have to come through and tell everyone to leave again. And next time, maybe there won't be anything left. Because there's a lot more flammable crap out here that's could easily be lit up, you know. And if they're using accelerant, and they know they're not going to get in trouble for using accelerant, we're screwed. Us poor people are screwed. Us poor people that are good people and we don't try to do anything bad to anybody, we're always trying to do the right thing. We're the ones who are going to get affected the most, more than anybody else. And it devastated our family because we had to leave suddenly with hardly anything and pay for a room to stay in that we could barely afford. Either that or get stuck in a shelter with like 100 other people. I don't want to do that. I just didn't want to be. I've already been in shelters. I'm like, I'm not going back to a shelter. I've already done that. And I just want my privacy, you know? You have to be stranded for 3 days. I'd rather have my own place. Yeah, I'm still going to worry and be stressed out. That's not the issue. I just want my privacy. I don't want to be in like a FEMA camp type of situation, you know? They were real quick to tell everybody where the shelter was. I wonder why they came up with that so quick. They came up with a plan within like less than an hour after they kicked everybody out. It's like, damn, you guys are fast. I wonder if this was planned or something. Like, you guys planned on this happening. Like, this was a test to see how badly you could freak us all out and how quickly we could be sheep and disobey. And I heard like, oh, if you don't leave when you have to evacuation order, they'll kick your door in if you're still inside. They'll kick your door in and make you leave. It's like, really? You're going to break my door off the hinges and then make my place vulnerable to looters? It's like, why are you forcing me to save myself? I understand that, how that makes sense to me. Because I'd say if I don't want to leave, that's my own problem. And if the fire did come into my place where I'm at, then I accept my fate. But you can't make me do something against my will. But they're like, no, you're going to kick your door in. And I hate that shit. I hate that. I'm tired of it. The next time this happens, I'm probably not going to obey because I can't afford 2 or 3 days away having to get takeout food and all that. It's like, what are you going to eat? Salvation Army food? They're going to give you powdered eggs and shit. It's like, I don't want to do that. It's like FEMA camp shit. You know? It's like, come on, man, just be a sheep and just follow what they tell you. It's like, No, because I question it. Because this last fire that we had to evacuate from, didn't even come near where I live. It was going the other direction. It was going towards downtown. And I don't live downtown. I live in the parts of where the woods are. So it wasn't even blowing in that direction. So it's all bullshit. And I was calling all the cops. I was saying Buford T. Justice, because they were like with their bullhorns. Everyone needs to get out. It's like, you guys are overreacting. Once you overreact to the guy that lit the fire, the guy with the accelerant, putting that on stuff that's not even flammable. That's what he did. He used accelerant on it so it would be more effective burn. And we have lots of homeless people up here, and you guys keep letting them up here, and they light fires every year. And this year it's worse because they're being told that all the jails and all that are closing. They're letting prisoners out. They're closing all the most of the prisons. So there's nowhere to put them anyway, even if they did convict them of the crime. They're not going to jail them because there's nowhere to put them, because all the jails are closed, all the prisons. They're closing them. They want to decriminalize everything. That's what's happening. There's no accountability. Just saying, right? That's why they all want to vote for Xavier Becerra, because they want more unaccountability. They want to get away with everything and be allowed to break laws left and right. That's why they have the Nick Shirley Act being passed, because they don't want anyone pointing out that laws are being broken. So that's why I would be surprised if they're going to be hard on this guy for burning all of that acreage in my city here and causing over 600 homes to have to evacuate and go to a shelter or go somewhere else. And we couldn't come back for like 3 days. And it's like, that's a long time, you know. It's like, you don't know what's happening, and they weren't updating us and stuff and keeping everybody in the dark about what was going on and any new information on it or who they knew did it. Took a while for them to figure it out. So it's crazy. Completely nuts. I've just tried everybody. Thanks for dropping by. The ones that did, thank you for dropping by, and the people that subscribe to my channel. I appreciate it. If you could subscribe to my channel, that'd be awesome. The 16 people that were on here at one point, it'd be cool if you could subscribe. You know, instead of just watching the video for like a minute, you could probably subscribe to my channel, which would be awesome. It's up to you, though. I can't make somebody do something. You know, you have your own free will. Just like the fire thing, but they made us evacuate, which pissed me off. So I knew what was going on. Right when it was happening, I knew this shit. I'm like, this is all bullshit. And I was called him Buford T. Justice, because it's just, they're overdoing it. The panicking and all that. They're just acting like, oh my God, it's going to come in. We don't evacuate everybody out of this crap. Such a retarded. It's just retarded. Like, just arrest the arsonist. You don't need to evacuate most of us, because the fire's going another direction. And they're like, no, we have to get everybody out of here. It's like, you don't care about us. What about our poor animals? They're going to have heat strokes from being displaced. And some people, when they evacuated, their cats got loose out of their car and ran away. So nobody factored that in with the overreaction. And then they were trying to evacuate people, try to force people to evacuate. They were way, way out of the area of the fire, forcing them to do that too as well, and threatening people and scaring them. I think it's just creating fear to where they think, oh my God, everything's going to burn. And it's like, no, it's not, because it's oak chaparral. It's not going to burn everything. Most likely all they have to do is drop some retardant around it and whatever they call that, where they have the shovels, shovel dirt around it, build trenches around it. It probably won't spread because it's oak chaparral. That's all you got to do. And then do airdrops on it. But you don't have to evacuate everybody. You know, people like me are too poor. It's like I don't have a nest egg to sit on to evacuate with, you know? Such bullshit. I gotta check on my ice baby. I gotta check on my ice. See how full it is. See how much ice I got in that ice maker. Instead of paying $5 a bag of ice. But that's my ice baby. Vanilla ice baby. See, they can't get me on trademark because I sound terrible when I sing. I sound like a terrible singer. So that's my vanilla ice. Yeah, thanks to all the people watching. I don't know why everyone's watching now. Usually nobody watches when I'm at home, which is kind of weird. But I was just voicing my opinion about the fire that we had up here in Northern California, up in the foothills. People were afraid, so the judge ended up giving the guy no bail, so he's not allowed out because he could easily light more fires, possibly because he's unhoused. And it's not because he's unhoused, but this dude has a problem with pyromania, and I guess he likes to light things up, so it's probably not a good idea to let the guy out on bail. And then possibly another fire or new fires, which will devastate more of this community I live in. And a lot of us are really poor, so it really hurts being displaced, especially triple-digit heat. So keep that MF in jail. And I think the judge was worried, like, if he did release the guy, the locals around here would be pissed. So he probably didn't want the trouble because he would end up being disbarred as a judge if that guy turned around and lit up the city after he let him out on bail. So he probably didn't want that responsibility on him because he did that the first time he let him out. And he ended up allegedly lighting more fires after he let him out because they said they had lacked of evidence at the time. And that was before they had the tape of him running away from a lit fire that was on a hill, burning up the bushes and the trees. And he was lying and told the authorities that he accidentally dropped a cigarette in the bushes or something and it lit up, but he didn't mean to do it. But he was lying because it was huge. The fire was huge when he was running away. So he lit more than just a little area accidentally. He lit up a big area of the bushes. And he probably used accelerant. I would suspect he must have used accelerant on that. So he's a lying sack of shit. That's a lie, because if it was just an accidental cigarette fell out on the ground, it would have probably mostly smoldered. It wouldn't have sparked up like that. You'd have to put something on there to accelerate it, because oak chaparral does not burn unless you put an accelerant on it, because it's green wood. It's green, it's alive, it's full of water. Everybody knows that. And I think the authorities knew that too. So they didn't buy into his story. So he got arrested the second time. So yeah, they don't want that stigma on them. So they kept him in jail with no bail. And that's smart because it will cause people to be pissed. There'll be outrage. So they did the right thing by not letting him out and not giving him bail. Because right now he's a threat. He's a threat to our society here in our little county here where I live. And a lot of tourism here and a lot of businesses depend on tourism. And if he burned half the town down or whatever, it would devastate this area. And they don't want that on their reputation, that they let that guy out and burn the city down, half the city. Because this is like a gold panning county. So people come up here because they love to go boating and fishing and mining, all kinds of stuff, tourism. And if he did that and they let him out and he did that again, that judge's reputation would be in the toilet. So that's probably why he gave him no bail, because he didn't want to be responsible if he did that again right after you let him out and they have to rearrest him. So it would make the authorities look really irresponsible. And I think that's why they did it. So what sentence they're going to give him, I don't know. Once he goes to court, I don't know what kind of sentence he's going to receive. I don't know, because they're going to say he didn't burn any houses down. He just burned part of the forest. Well, there's 5 other spot fires that were all around. So who caused those? Who caused those spot fires? Is there accomplices, or is it just him? That's what they should be investigating. If there's other people involved, they need to also bring them in as well. If it wasn't just him. So they need to tell him, if you know any accomplices, you need to tell us right now. Otherwise, we're going to charge you with that and the rest of the spot fires, which will add to his time on his sentence. So if he was smart, he would narc on the other ones that were also accomplices in the spot fires. That's what I'd do. And first of all, if I was him, I wouldn't be an arsonist. I might be homeless, but I'm not going to be an arsonist. So no, I can't really relate to his ass, because I was homeless for 3 months outside, and we lived in a tent, and I never once thought of doing anything like that. And we had to come to town to go to work. So we came to work dirty sometimes because we couldn't get to water. We couldn't get to a way to bathe. We'd had a river, but it was freezing. It was like snow melt river, and it was the Stanislaus River, so it was really freezing cold. It was like snow melt, so it was freezing trying to wash up in that. So sometimes we didn't bathe because it was so cold. You get hypothermia trying to wash yourself up to get yourself clean enough to go to work, you know. And we lived on takeout. We just get takeout food because they didn't want to cook everything on fire, you know. Plus it attracted bears and all that. So yeah, I never thought of doing something like that, of lighting up the forest like that. It's stupid and evil. It's wrong, you know. Because eventually at some point we finally found a place to live, so I was grateful for that. I'd never do something like that. So I don't understand that guy's thinking. I don't know, maybe his parents didn't teach him right from wrong. I don't know, or he's just a bad kid. He's a 31-year-old kid, right? To me, he's a kid. He's younger than me. But yeah, it's sad. So right now I'm just enjoying that we don't have a fire right now. Isn't that sad? Just enjoying the fact that we don't have anything on fire right now, and that I still have my health and my family have their health, and we still have a roof overhead that's not been burned to the ground by some freaking freak, that I don't see a big puff of smoke in the background from some pyromaniac. It keeps getting hotter here and there every 2 minutes. I just couldn't imagine being homeless and being in this heat. I can't. Fuck that. I'm too old. But yeah, that's all I got to say about that. Thank you to everyone that came in. I appreciate it. I don't know why all these crowds were coming in. Usually people don't come in when I'm recording at home. So it's kind of weird, but it's cool at the same time, I guess. I'm not used to having, more than 5 people watching at a time. So it's kind of weird. I wish people would subscribe. I mean, if you're going to take the time to watch it for a second, that'd be cool if you actually subscribed. That'd be awesome. But that's up to you. That's your free will. But I guess if you want to know, or if you want to find out more stuff about what I do on here, you could subscribe. Or maybe watch some of my older videos that I have on here that are from years ago that I made. I have some videos I have that are actually pretty popular with some people. Subject matters, I guess, that I used to talk about. Oroville Dam and stuff like that. I guess if you're interested, because I'm a Californian, so most everything I put on my channel is like based about this state, which is my home. I always consider it to be my home. I'll always have a kinship with my state here for the rest of my life, no matter what. No one's going to change my mind and make me hate my state. I don't care what reptile is running it. I still love my state. I'm not going to change my mind about that. So some people, I guess, get sour and decide they hate the state, and they're very vocal about hating it. But I'm not like that. I'm not going to be nasty like that, because I know with God anything's possible. So look horrible without the witch cover, right? Anyways, yeah, yeah, you're not gonna make me hate my state, no matter how many firebugs and all that come through here, because running and hiding and going somewhere else isn't always the solution. Because your problems they follow you wherever you go.